Great students, today we'll be looking at herbal medicine preparation techniques. You are welcome to Kahara Integrative Medicine Academy online lecture. I am Professor Gilbert Ezengige. We'll be looking at the basis and the basics for the production of medicinal plants, locally. First of all, let's look at what herbal medicine is. The definition of herbal medicine as given to us by the World Health Organization. Herbal medicine is defined and as finished labeled medicinal products that contain as active ingredients aerial, that means above ground, or underground parts of plants or other plant materials or combination thereof, whether in crude state or as plant preparations. That's WHO definition of what we call herbal medicine. It must be a finished product, it must contain active ingredients, it must be made from parts of plants, whether above the soil, underground, or whether exudates of plants or whatever. And it could be as plant preparation or it can be given raw. That is what the WHO definition of herbal medicine is. There are many factors that influence the quality of plants, medicinal plants. The type of soil the plant is growing on, the climate, the time of the year of harvest, the effects of planetary or what we call stellar radiations in a geographical location, man-made factors such as air, land, and aquatic pollution. All these factors could either improve or hinder the quality of medicinal plants. When harvesting medicinal plants, we always advise our students to gather herbs, preferably in dry weather. They should also ensure that herbs, unless otherwise specified, should be harvested when they are in full bloom, that is, when they are either flowering or fruiting. Do not harvest medicinal plants that grow near gutters, sewage, industrial areas, and roadsides to avoid using herbs that are so much loaded with toxic matters. Unless otherwise specified, all the tree barks, flowers, leaves, seeds, and fruits are best harvested in the daytime. Don't harvest them at night. Unless otherwise specified, roots are best harvested in the evening or night time. When you want to harvest roots of plant, evening, night time is the best. That's when the nutrients in the roots are much. Roots of plants are generally more potent when harvested in the evening time or night time. We've said that. And when you're harvesting, make sure that all the infected, wilted, molted, and insect-eating leaves should not be gathered for medicinal preparation. You should also avoid unnecessary bruising of plant tissues so as to minimize plant deterioration and oxidation prior to drying process and storage. Because when you bruise the plant so much, it has a greater surface area for infestation. The simple basic production techniques will involve first the drying of herbs. Dried herbs can last for 3 years or even longer and still retain their medicinal constituents. Of course, except you are administering fresh herbs, fresh juice, and in liquid form, herbs are best dried so that it can preserve for long. You can also make a simple home dryer if you do not have a dehydrator. It could look like what you have in the diagram, a wooden box with trees, mesh, with metallic mesh, then bulbs, maybe 2 bulbs of between 60 watts to 100 watts. You can also put a simple, small motorized fan, if you can afford that. Then that will just help to do the drying process. Of course, if you really want to also make it more technical and reliable, you could just ask any electrician close by to fix a thermostat for you because herbs are best dry between the temperature of 42, 45 max. Because when you subject herbs that have high volatile oil to high temperature, the nutrients are driven off, and you do not want to achieve that negative result. The production techniques, then after drying, you grind your herbs. If plants are to be stored for a long period before packaging, it is not advisable to reduce them to fine powder. They can be cut to pieces, dried, and stored. You don't need to um, grind them and keep for so long. Talking about the storage of herbs now, powdered herbs should be stored in a dry, well-shaded room or apartment. They can be packed, preferably in large amber bottles, that's brown bottles, or dark brown glass jars. This prevents the harmful effect of light, humidity, and parasites on the stored herbs. So that is the advantages of storing it in this manner. As a budding medical herbalist, you should have basic herb processing tools, your juicers, your chopsticks, different sieves, your sealing machines, your grinding machines, your pestle and mortar. All these are basic things which can be found in almost every kitchen. You know. And how do we administer herbs? We'll deal with that in detail, but just know that herbs can be given directly as herb powder. You ask somebody to take the herb with water. You can also put it in tea bags so that the person can do what we call hot herbal infusion and drink. It can also be administered as herbal enema, where liquid herbal solution are introduced in enema can and inserted in the anus. Obviously, this method is best when you are addressing some issues with the large intestine, let's say hemorrhoids, let's say rectal prolapse or infection of, in the lower part of the large intestine. Of course, you can also make what we call herbal decoction, which means when you boil the herbs before administering. All these we can deal in detail in our physical contact classes because some of them will require real demonstration. Then herbs can also be put in herbal capsules, in capsules so that you have your herbal capsule. It can also be made as herbal ointment and herbal oil. The process of making these will also require little demonstration. But basically, what we mean by herbal oil is that plants can be extracted in your preferred oils like coconut oil, like all other oils, that are known, like olive oil and so on and so forth. And once you get that, to make an ointment becomes easier because all you need is just a natural thickener. Like I said, some of these we can only talk about in physical classes so that you can see it demonstrated. Then tinctures are another way of preparing herbs because you may want to extract your herbs in alcohol and water, mixture of alcohol and water. And the real technique of doing that should be known because when you prepare a tincture the way it should be prepared, you will not subject the patient to be taking too much alcohol as is obtainable traditionally. When you see people say, take one shot of this, and that may be too much. You are just overloading the patient with alcohol. But if you prepare it the way naturopaths do that, you may end up administering, like, say, 1 teaspoonful of that. Now compare 1 teaspoonful of hot drink and one shot, and then you see there is a big difference. So tinctures are also other ways of preparing that, preparing herbal medicine for intake. Then you can also have herbal syrups. Syrups most times they have sweet taste, and they most times also are used for respiratory issues, especially for children. Their medications should mostly be in syrup form because you want it to be sweet. You want it to for them to take it, and you don't want them to be choking by taking capsules or other hard herbal materials. Suppositories are prepared for the purpose of treating rectal or vaginal issues, maybe vaginal infections and some forms of small tumors, uterine tumors, or hemorrhoids. You need to insert suppositories constantly or regularly in the rectum or in the vagina. So there are techniques of preparing that. Herbal soaps can also be prepared where you introduce your herbal solution to black soap and get it thoroughly mixed. Lozenges are meant to be taken to address upper respiratory tract issues. They normally help to soothe the respiratory system. So you can actually prepare lozenges for the purpose of leaking. Then let's go straight to preservation of herbal medicine. There are many techniques. Herbs can be dried so that once it has been dried, it can be put as herbal teas. Um, it can be used as herbal teas. It can be used in capsules. It can also be used in tablets. Then alcohol is also another way, a great way. It extracts as well as preserves herbal medicinal products. The preservative ability of alcohol is very, very high. Then for those who do not like alcohol at all, they can make use of apple cider vinegar to preserve their liquid medication. There are many factors that influence herbal dosage. The potency of the herb itself and the level of its toxicity. It goes without saying that if a herb is very potent or toxic, the quantity you must administer should be little. Then body size, the weight and height of the patient. Those that are on the heavy side and they are tall obviously will require more of your adult dose. The severity of the ailment, how severe the ailment is. Then the age of the patient is also a factor. Even if the person is very tall, weighs so much, but is a child, obviously the quantity that must be administered will be minimal. These are factors that naturopaths put into consideration before prescribing herbal remedies. So the administrable adult dose can be known, but then it could be varied based on these factors that have been enumerated. For children, the dosages should be adjusted when making herbal medicines for children. A method which is very popular, which I also love, is the Cowling's rule. And this is how it is calculated. The child's age at his or her next birthday divided by a constant 24. To give an example, for a child that is approaching 8 years, how do you calculate the dosage? You will now say 8, which is the age the child is approaching. You divide it by a constant 24, and that will be 8 over 24 or 1 over 3. And 1 over 3 becomes the quantity of the adult dose that you require. So 1/3 of the adult dose, 1/3 of the adult dose. So you use this to calculate dosages for children. Medicinal actions of herbs are very, very important. I always tell our students you have to spend much time learning about medicinal actions of herbs. There are so many of them, thousands of them, because that's the only thing that can make you to practice and practice very well. Herbs are like human beings. They have characters. You must learn their character, how they act in the body. It's an approach of categorizing herbs on the basis of their physiological effects on the body and the illnesses they alleviate. When actions of individual herbs are studied and noted, the chances of making wrong combinations of herbal medicines become very, very slim. To give you an example, analgesic pain relievers, anticoagulants, they dissolve, they thin the blood. Antiemetics will prevent you from vomiting. Antilytics will break stones. Antimicrobials will kill germs. Antipyretics will reduce feverish condition. Aphrodisiacs will stimulate your sexual urge. Bitters will support your digestive system, support the pancreas, support the liver. Cardiotonics will help your heart. Depuratives will cleanse your blood. Diuretics will make your kidneys to make more urine. Emmenagogues will help to stimulate menstrual flow. Hemostatic or and static will help to arrest bleeding. Hypoglycemic agents will help to reduce glucose level in you. Hypotensives will help to reduce your blood pressure. Vermifuge will help to expel worm in your system. Vulnerary herbs will help to heal you. They are wound healers. So spend more time to learn about medicinal actions of herb. Like I say, they are in their thousands. Learn them because that's the only thing that can make you to know and understand herbs and understand their behaviors. So that when you read herbal medicine literatures, just by going through their medicinal actions, you already know what the herbs can do and who you should give it to and who you should not give it to. It's very, very important. Let's look at few herbs as we are rounding this course. But don't forget to subscribe to our channel, YouTube channel, hit the notification button so that you'll be updated regularly. Aphramonum melegueta is known as alligator pepper. We use the seeds because the seeds have aphrodisiac property, galactagogue, it can increase flow of breast milk. Incidentally, it can also inhibit it when the breast milk is getting too much or when the nursing mother wants to wean the child, the baby, and keeps noticing that the milk does not want to stop. Alligator pepper can also help to stop that. It has antiemetic property for worms. It has analgesic property for pains. It's a stimulant. It is a carminative, meaning it can expel intestinal gases. It's an antimicrobial agent. It helps men who are suffering from impotency. When a man is suffering from impotency, he finds it difficult to procure erection and sustain it throughout the sexual activity period. It's useful in treatment of dysmenorrhea, painful menstruation, very useful in treatment of colds. Then Bryophyllum pinnatum is another plant we want to look at as an example. It is called resurrection plant. It's antihistamine, against allergy, very useful for the treatment of cough and upper respiratory infections. The juice is helpful for earache. It is an immunomodulator. It helps to modulate our immune system. It has antispasmodic action, meaning it has the ability to control involuntary muscular activities in you. And so people who are suffering from, say, convulsion, epilepsy, twitches, and all of that will benefit so much from that. It has antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal property. Very, very powerful antimicrobial agent. Little wonder in old days, our mothers, grandmothers relied on this plant as a special material to dress the navel of a newborn baby, until it heals and infections don't even get in at all. It lowers blood cholesterol. It's mildly sedative. Actually, the plant can even be eaten raw. I would suggest do not take more than 2 leaves at a time. You can repeat it 2 times daily or 3 times daily. If you take too much, especially the juice, it may induce vomiting. You may become nauseated. And do not forget, we said it's also a mildly sedative, so it can make you feel sleepy if you take too much. Eugenia aromaticum or Eugenia caryolata is clove. Very useful for the treatment of toothache, topical application. It aids digestion, it relieves bloating, intestinal gas, It relieves bronchial catarrh, controls bad breath. It has bactericidal property. It kills bacteria. It has nematicidal property. It kills worm. It has fungicidal property. It kills fungi. It allays nausea and vomiting. It checks diarrhea. It allays dizziness due to poor blood circulation. It relieves headache, abdominal, and muscle aches. It's a good remedy for athletics foot. So we can adopt and utilize these. They are nature's gift. Thank you very much for listening to today's Kahara Integrative Medicine Academy online class. Do your assignments as demanded. Thank you and remain blessed.